What's happening, YouTube? Welcome to the Mr. Winslaw channel. I am Mr. Winslaw, your host, and today we're going to be discussing a very hot topic in the African American community, which deals primarily with the black church from a black man's perspective. Now, I've been black for 40 years, and I do believe that I have some insight that I can share with you all to help stem the tide and place more black men in the black church. So let's get started, shall we? Number one, we must realize before we go any further that black men are conquerors. If we look at the ancient examples of history, we see that Hannibal of Carthage was a conqueror. We can look at Shaka Zulu, and he was definitely a conqueror. If we look at the modern day aspects of black men being conquerors, we see people like Medgar Evers. We see people like Malcolm X. We see people like Martin Luther King Jr. We see people like Benjamin Banneker. We see people like George Washington Carver, just to name a few. These black men were conquerors, modern day examples of conquerors. So we definitely do not want to turn our backs on them. Yes, if we look at this from a scriptural standpoint, we can also see that black men were conquerors. In Genesis 2:19, God gave the authority unto man to name everything that was in the Garden of Eden. This responsibility fell to Adam since he was the first formed. Yes, that authority fell to him. So yes, that was a very conquering thing. If we look at Genesis 3:16, we see that even though the divine curse had been levied against mankind, God specifically told Eve that in sorrow shalt thou conceive. Your desire shall be for him, and he shall have rule over thee. This is proof positive, YouTube community, that man is a conqueror. I know that a lot of you out there are going to say, Mr. Winslaw, this is 2011 AD, not 2011 BC. Times have changed. Yes, I do realize that. I do realize that time has also made 6 very insidious things that are in place as we speak that try to undermine and destroy black men being conquerors. I understand that number one, companies will hire an educated black woman far faster than they will an educated black man. I understand that political correctness is failing astronomically in trying to place men and women on the same playing field. Good luck with that idea. And I also see that the church is afraid to tackle these issues. When we look at the second group of things that beset black men being conquerors, we see that churches are siding with women to keep the numbers up. We see that manhood is looked upon as scary or conditional. We also see that Christ is portrayed as a mangina. Now, even though these 6 things are in place and they are entrenched and they are trying to keep black men away from the black church, and they have done a very superb job thus far, there are just 3 things that can be applied that will dispel a great many of the 6, if not destroy them all. Number 1, black woman, please take note. Practice what you preach. If you call yourself a believing woman, then you need to affiliate yourself with a believing man. This goes without saying. Like forces in the human experience attract. Number 2, you need to know your role. If you are a woman, a believing woman, then you need to act like a believing woman, and you need to seek out a believing man. If you are a believing man, then you need to act like a believing man and seek out a believing woman. Please don't come at me with this attitude of I'm going to act like a man but think like a Labrador retriever, or is that a submarine, or no, here it is. I'm going to act like a woman, but I'm going to think like a hot air balloon. Please teach me to milk a duck. That's not going to work. If you are a believing man, you need to act like a believing man. If you are a believing woman, you need to act like a believing woman. In closing, YouTube community, I do realize that there are some people out there that are going to say, well, you know what? The church is the church. You should not have it in your mind that you are going to just boycott the church. Well, first and foremost, we need to understand that the church is not a building. The church is not made of stone, concrete, and sheetrock. No, the church is made of flesh and blood. Jesus Christ's first sermon was the Sermon on the Mount. It was outdoors, and this was to stress the point that we are to go into the world. The church is the people. The church is made up of men and women, not glass and steel. So that is what we need to understand first and foremost. Secondly, we need to incorporate an action dynamic with the wish you wills that we give people. It makes me want to vomit when I go to a church and they say, well, brother, I'm praying for you. What a stupid thing to say. Why not say, brother, I'm praying for you? Let's do this. Brother, let's hold hands. Sister, let's hold hands right now. And we're going to pray. And after we pray, we're going to put our heads together and we're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to try to get this thing done. That is what is going to keep that man in church. Black woman, if you are a spiritual black woman, I guarantee you that if you approach that spiritual black man and you grab him by his shoulders and you say, I am so glad that God sent you unto me. Spiritual black man, if you say the same thing unto that woman, I am glad that God took you from my side and placed you in my arms to be a helpmate unto me. I guarantee you that is going to make the man and the woman come together in unity, and the black church, the black community, black people will thrive. From the offices of Mr. Winslaw and from the Mr. Winslaw Studios, because we have an office now, pat myself in the back. Have a fabulous weekend. God bless.